Screw your freedom.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. You can't miss this broadcast, folks. You shouldn't miss any broadcasts because it changes. It is incredibly fluid 24/7. And just keeping up with this is incredible, folks. Where do we start today? Well, it's the monologue followed by the Q&A, questions and answers. So get your questions into Jolene. And I tell you what, I'm communicating by email, phone, probably even fax. If I had one, I could. All I got to do is hook the thing up over there, but need one of those phone lines for that. I bet if someone needed to send a fax, they'd find a way. Anyways, what am I talking about? Oh yeah, it's hit the fan. Unbelievable, folks, what is going on. I want to jump right in. I want to be a smart aleck. I want to do satire, but I want to jump right in to the big one for today. Shall we do that? Let's do it. Why is this one you can't miss? Well, Russia has stepped this up. Putin has stepped this up. Red alert, folks. Russia has a new red line. That's kind of like Obama's line in the sand, right? That's my red line. And is a red line racist? Anyways, folks, Russia says this: Western countries supplying weapons to Ukraine will, quote, bear responsibility, end quote. So what he's saying is, hello, UK, United Kingdom, England. Hello, United States of America. Hello, Germany, if you give jets. Hello, any other country, if you give equipment, supplies. You're going to bear responsibility. I think the brunt of this, though, is aimed at the United States and also at the UK, but it does apply to everyone. And Russia is saying they will bear responsibility. Now, one of the questions we have is, well, what does that mean exactly? Are you saying you're going to add an extra $10 a barrel on the barrel of oil? Are you saying you're not going to sell us vodka? Are you saying you're going to attack us, the United States government, the UK government? You're going to attack them, I should say, not us, but them. Putin, you're going to attack them? Well, you know, it is possible. It's absolutely possible that he could do that. Now, is this legitimate, what he's doing, saying he's going to do, or the threat? Is it a legitimate threat? So let's rephrase the question and take it from this big macro picture of geopolitics, geopolitical, military maneuvering, and just bring it down to a level that we think on. If someone gave a gun to a thief who then used it to rob and kill someone, would the district attorney, the prosecutor, charge both the murderer and the supplier of the gun with crimes? Well, today, yeah, of course. Everyone's responsible, right? Does the same logic apply on a bigger scale? Now, looking back with history as our guide, in Vietnam, China supplied the VC, the Viet Cong, with RPGs, AK-47s, food, military supplies, etc. We knew that China was doing that, and China knew that we knew China was doing that, but we didn't tell China to stop. We did not say, stop or else you're going to bear responsibility, right? In Afghanistan, folks, the United States government supplied the Mujahideen, I believe, the freedom fighters. I think that's who they were. And the Soviets knew it. And the United States government knew that the Soviets knew that the United States government was supplying weapons to the Mujahideen. Now, today the world is a different world. It's not the 1960s, nor the 1970s, nor the 1980s. It's a different world. To supply An army, a proxy army, is the same as fighting directly, if you think about it, right? The person who sold the gun to the other person, knowing it was going to be used for a crime, use it, knowing it was going to be used, period. They knew it. So to supply an army as a proxy, or to supply the Ukraine army as if it's an extension of the United States or the Ukraine's army to fight the United States or UK's mission in Ukraine. This is what Putin is basically indicating. He knows who's doing it and for what cause and purpose. And oh yeah, on top of this all, the United States is now buying even more oil from Russia. The sanctions, are they real? Are they BS? What is real, folks? What is not real? It is a total disaster what is happening out there, and we're being lied to. We're being tricked. It is incredible. I'm going to go right from that home run, pow, SHTF, shit everywhere, into another big hitting move today. This isn't the last week, folks. This isn't the worldwide yearly wrap up. It's happening now. You need to be aware. Not to scare the shit out of yourself, but so you can make intelligent, informed decisions about how you will be prepared for what is coming, the seriousness. And we, as little people, always face the harshest consequences. Now, Turkey has said they are going to block Russian warships in the Black Sea. That is to say, they're not allowed to come down through Turkey. There's a big river runs through Turkey from the Black Sea down into the Mediterranean. It is their Mediterranean to the Atlantic, shall we say, freeway. Okay. Otherwise, the Russian Navy has to use its Arctic ports and its Bering Strait and North Pacific ports. What Turkey is doing is exceedingly, folks, dangerous, provocative. To restrict a waterway that is typically used by many nations to conduct both business as well as provide military security. Now, folks, Turkey, it is a member of NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. And I'm laughing because I don't think they should be, but they are. They applied and they got membership. They're a more recent member, folks. They're not a long-time foe of Russia. In fact, if memory serves me correctly, Turkey has been buying both U.S. and Russian armaments, military goods. The U.S. got very pissed about it, I think, during the Trump administration, said, you're not going to buy ours if you're going to buy it, blah, blah, blah. Point is that they're a very recent member of NATO, and in my opinion, and the opinion of many experts, Turkey is itself little more than a thug state, violating the rights of its own people, engaging in international drug processing and smuggling and distribution, violating international laws by flying its military over and into Syria and other countries, and conducting God knows what else. So the question we have to ask is this political butt snorfing, virtue signaling, and political pandering by Turkey to say these things, that they're going to block Russia? Really, Turkey? Right? Will this even be enforced by Turkey, or is this just for the cameras, the newspapers, CNN, right? Or does Turkey mean this? And things will escalate further. Are you prepared for worst case scenario? Good golly, folks, this is incredible. It's incredible. Now, in the earlier video, I talked about understanding what is happening in Ukraine. Do you just listen to CNN, ABC, and CBS, MSNBC, name them, Fox, mainstream media? Do you just listen to them and then pick one of those channels to believe? Or do you question the narrative? right? Well, what is the U.S. media saying? Well, they say what the U.S. government tells the U.S. media to say. Russia, of course, has its propaganda, its perspective, and they're saying what they say so that they can justify where they're at. The big question is, where do things meet in the middle? Russia says there's Nazis, Nazification of Ukraine. The evidence on our side is, yeah, people like Hunter Biden are sitting on, or we're sitting on Burisma, working a bunch of deals in there, right? The fact of the matter is, folks, we got all kinds of stories coming out on this. There's a lot of garbage being dumped out the windows, a lot of dirty laundry being aired out for everyone to see. And oh yeah, the Azov battalion of the Ukraine army has the Nazi SS symbol as its patch. I mean, today, folks, let me get this straight. Today, Ukraine's President Zelensky agreed to meet. They wanted to meet and have a diplomatic meeting, right? Let's come to some terms. Let's understand what's going on. Can't we all just get along? Well, interesting. Later in the day, Ukrainian President Zelensky signed a letter and appealed to the European Union for immediate inclusion into the Union. Like, hey, we want to sign up for this. It's not a tennis club. It's not a golf club, right? Country club where you go pay your dues and then you get in a golf cart and start hitting the ball around, right? Well, this is how I see it. Once again, let's take this big, giant global economic, military, geopolitical pile of crap and kind of break it down, right? So Zelensky is getting beat up by another bully. And so he's running to another bully for protection, right? Bully Putin is beating up dipshit Zelensky, Ukraine. So Ukraine goes, we don't like Russia beating us up, so we're going to run to the European Union for protection, right? Doesn't Zelensky realize that it takes months and years to get approved to join the European Union? It's not a country club, right? Plus, folks, the Ukraine would have to agree to any and all special terms applied and set forth by the European Union and the European Central Bank. It has to apply that to their social, economic, monetary, and political structures. Right? It's not just a country club that you sign up and you get a pin to wear on your lapel of your coat, right? Also, folks, the European Union isn't really a military and can't really help against the Russian bully. It's kind of like going to a class nerd and asking for financial advice. And he's like, dude, you got a bully on your ass. How can we help you? Anyways, 2, Zelensky sent diplomats to speak to Russian diplomats in a safe Belarus meeting place, right? It was a safe space up in Belarus, just north of Ukraine. And Zelensky was upset that the Russian diplomats were low level, right? Did Zelensky expect Putin to show up and to start the negotiation process? Did he really think Putin's going to show up to start a process, right? It is a process. And once the details are hammered out, and only then would Putin arrive to sign a peace accord, an agreement, etc. And that is only if Putin doesn't feel like bitch slapping Ukraine and insulting them by having a lesser diplomat than him sign by proxy an agreement, right? Did Zelensky not attend the How to Make a Diplomatic Deal workshop in school? Did he not read, right, The Art of the Deal? There are no instant deals. There is no instant acceptance into any club like the European Union or NATO. There's no instant. It's a big, long process. It takes months and years to hammer out. He's desperate. He's stupid. He's ignorant, folks. A total desperate a-hole who has made his fortune to this point, screwing over his own people and he's now trying to salvage it after the fact, after he has been called out for it, right? He has had the United States, he has had UK, he has had NATO, he has had all of these corporations standing behind him saying, oh yeah, man, we're right here with you, pal. We'll take care of things. We're good for it. And Zelensky's like, yeah, I'm part of the club now. I'm with the big boys. And he turns around and there's a dust cloud where everyone ran. And he's standing there all alone, asking for help. Choose your friends wisely, folks, on that level and on our personal levels. Choose your allies, your friends wisely. Big lessons in all of this for all of us. Unbelievable, folks. Unbelievable. Okay, what do we have next? What do we have next? The European Union is going to ban Russia Today, RTV, and Sputnik news channels because it's working on tools to ban toxic disinformation. If a YouTuber, if a tweeter, if a Facebooker, folks, doesn't repeat the foreign policy experts of the White House and the mainstream media, if they don't repeat, like for me, if I don't repeat what the White House is saying and the mainstream media is saying, does that make me, you, all of us, disinformation agents, misinformation agents, and Russian assets? Right? Is it now? Is free speech, the ability to criticize the administration, going to be extended, right, to more than just RT and Sputnik News? I like watching, when I have time and an opportunity, watching or reading some of their stuff, RT and Sputnik, to get the other side's perspective, to get the other side's opinion, and to get the other side's propaganda. I know whose side I stand on. I stand on the side of the American people. I am a patriot. I love freedom. I love liberty. I love our Constitution, and I love our nation. I do not love any institutions that would take my rights and liberties, steal my money, and kill me. I'm going to make that very clear. Now, back to what the heck is going on. They're proposing, folks. They're showing, oh, this misinformation is terrible. We can't have toxic disinformation coming out of Russia, affecting Americans and causing their brains to not work, right? It's incredible that they're playing this game. It's incredible, folks. Could we be once again silenced and not allowed to talk? Because I don't agree with the White House and their position. I think it's a bunch of crap. I think it's a bunch of hooey. It has hit the fan, folks. Things are going to shit, and these people, right, they can't figure it out. I mean, it's not just me. I want to thank John over at Alpha Charlie Concepts YouTube channel. He sent me a little article. If you've ever heard of a gentleman named John Rappaport, he does a blog. It is nomorefakenews.com. He calls it Drumbeats of War and Testicles of Strength. It's quite an interesting title, right? He says something is wrong. And I'm not talking about the screenshots going around purporting to show cardboard weapons in the hands of Ukraine civilians, or the death of someone a few years ago dying again in the Ukraine. I'm talking about major in-your-face news outlets working overtime on the war. On the war. It is really, folks, interesting. Now, I'm going to step aside from Mr. Rappaport's column and say, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, folks. I'm a, quote, things aren't adding up and it's pretty obvious theorist. That's really what I am.
Cut out the jibber jabber. Don't be babbling like a fool. Say what you got to say. That's all. Then shut your dang pie hole.
So John continues and says, these are notes. The news is coming too fast and furious. Each proclamation more preposterous than the last. Bottom line, I'm not buying what they're selling. I'm not buying what I'm seeing. I'm not buying what I'm not seeing. So I think he's in a place similar to us in that we're questioning everyone and we're watching all sides, and it is preposterous. You know, it's a drumbeats of war. You must support America, and that means you must declare Putin is far more evil than Hitler. So say all, so say Democrats and Republicans, foaming at the mouth. Keep our planes in the air, ready the nukes. Right? Wow. And guess what? Tuesday night, tomorrow night, our commander-in-chief, who today called Kamala Harris the president. He introduced her as the president. That is our commander-in-chief. That's the guy in charge. That's the big guy who gets his 10%. He's going to deliver his State of the Union to Congress. And just in a nick of time, can you believe it? In the nick of time, folks, Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to look like the Wicked Witch of the West. And she says, no more masks needed in Congress. Just in time. Also just in time, California, the state of California, the state of Washington, and the state of Oregon, they end school mask mandates. Just in time for Biden to stand up. Look presidential. Tell us how Putin is worse than Hitler, while we support a military that has Nazi factions within it. While you at home, parents, are domestic terrorists. And also, if you're a patriot, you're a white supremacist extremist. You may as well just come right out and put a Nazi symbol on us, right? Unbelievable, folks. It has hit the fan, and you can't miss any of this. You know why you can't miss it? Because it is in your faces. The U.S. isn't the only country continuing to buy energy products from Russia. Germany is as well, folks. Beijing, folks, is blaming Biden for provoking Putin. I mean, is this Beijing blowing the whistle? Beijing, folks, the military for Beijing warned the United States in very firm terms that Taiwan is a part of China and not to make a mistake in interfering with their efforts there. So I'm thinking, what, has China become the aggressor, but it's completely justifiable? Well, who's provoked? Who's provoking? The United States by doing or saying anything positive about Taiwan is what? Provoking China. China is putting themselves in a position to say that they are being provoked by the United States government over Taiwan. So Beijing came out today and said of the United States, they actually want Russia to invade. They're asking for it. They're provoking Putin, and therefore when it happens, it's the US's fault. At the same time, Beijing is like, how can we get in on this? Yeah, let's say that Taiwan has always been ours and that we're being provoked. And so if we take action, it's Biden's fault. Yeah, Biden did this. Incredible, folks. What an incredible, incredible world we live in. And I don't say that with glee and happiness. This is what's happening. Are you ready? Are you ready for more? Unbelievable. Get your questions into Jolene. What do we got? Got about 5 minutes more of me. Then it's going to be time for you. I'm going to come back domestically here, folks. I need to go around and do a little bit of domestic ass kicking. Democratic governors decided that they needed to have an annual meeting. The Democrats are having a hell of a time, folks, coming into this. Oh, yeah, by the way, 2022 is not just the year of Ukraine. It's not just the year of China and Taiwan. It's not just the year that little Kim Jong-un of North Korea decided to start firing missiles into the sea again. It's an election year, and an important one at that, right? Midterm elections where the sitting president usually loses a few seats. In this case, they've trashed the economy. They've just exploded the inflation all over us. Blunder after blunder after blunder, lie after lie after lie, while accusing you of being a domestic terrorist. Right, so the Democrats are hurting. In fact, by the way, today they lost one more congressman. Another one says, ain't gonna rerun, ain't gonna do it. They're up to 31 now, plus Rhino Republicans not running again. A Rhino Republican in the House is the same as a Democrat, so you may as well say 40 plus. Well, the Democratic governors, they got together for their annual meeting. But we got a big problem here. We got a big dope. The place they decided to meet was not a Democrat place. It was not a place where health and safety was paramount. It was a place where it's the most dangerous state in the union. They're down there partying and practically having sex in the street. It's crazy, I'm telling you. Folks, they met in Florida, and they're getting mocked for it. They flee their lockdown pile of crap, masked, regulated, and mandated states so that they can meet these Democrat governors in Florida. I think the state of Florida should kick them right the hell out. I don't know when they showed up and how long they plan on staying, but if I was in Florida, I would be calling the governor and say, get them out, right? There's this thing called reciprocation, right? And it's usually a state-to-state agreement. One state says, well, this is how we feel. The other state says, yeah, we do too. So we recognize each other's privileges. For example, I'm a general contractor. I hold a license in the state of California as a general contractor. I go to work in another state. They may or may not say, your license is good here, right? We do or do not reciprocate. If you do reciprocate, you're allowed to be there and work. There ought to be some way to tell these governors, look, I don't appreciate and like the way you're running your state. I don't reciprocate. Now someone's going to say, John, they have a freedom to travel. Yeah, we got a lot of freedoms. We got a lot of rights. We got a lot of constitution that is being crapped on right now by these Democrat governors in their blue ass states. New York, Chicago, Michigan, Washington, Oregon, California, just to name a few. The big offensive scumbags with the big hypocritical leadership. I don't think they ought to be allowed in Florida, in Texas. They ought to stay in their own damn states and have a Zoom meeting. That's what I think they ought to have. All right, folks. Getting wound up there, getting a little bit wound up tight. Yeah. Unbelievable. So here we are, folks. It has hit the fan. It's 2022. Do you have food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense? Thank you for coming to Patreon, signing up for $2 a month. That's it. $2 a month, and you get all of this and everything else. Go to Patreon if you're a member, right? Look in there every day, Jolene. We're uploading new information, new content, stuff I can't really talk about here. Some of it is more in-depth, more details. If you're detail-oriented, right, you can get the articles and the stories every day that we talk about. But there's a lot of material I can't talk about because I'm not an expert, right? And even if I was an expert, even if I went to medical school, I almost said dental school. I would combine medical and dental and came up with mental school. If I went to medical school for 8 years, became a doctor, got my PhD in medicine, I still wouldn't be expert enough to offer an opinion in a public venue where people could listen to me without being silenced. Unbelievable. Let's do it, folks. Let's get to you. Let's see what you have to say.
Are you ready?
Woo! And we're back. That was hell of a commercial break. We've got James Nicholson checking in. He asks this: if Russia is tossed off the SWIFT system and can no longer pay their bills, how much money will the Fed print and how will this impact us? Well, the threats have been, get Russia off the SWIFT system. And that's coming from various countries, including the United States. And then it was, get Russian banks off the SWIFT system. And so some banks are and some banks aren't, apparently. My guess is the banks that are still on the SWIFT system are the banks completing transactions for oil sales, both for the United States of America and for Europe, because Europe, Germany, France, and other countries are still buying Russian oil, Russian gas. They have to. They don't have any frickin' choice. They've gone green, so much so that it's coming out their ears. But yeah, we still need our cars to move, lights to turn on, lives to operate. Idiots. So it's not going to be fully tossed off the system. It can't be. Now, as far as the Fed printing, yeah, big problems. They're already printing. Even before Russia became an issue, there was a printing press malfunction, and it's going full speed, man. Now, understand this. Back in the year 2019, it's a long time ago, wasn't it? September of 2019, our economy broke. The financial system wouldn't lend its money to other financial system members. That was the overnight repo market, overnight lending from bank to bank so they could pay their bills. And so the Fed stepped in and went brrr and started printing money. And then we got Cerveza bug a few months later when that continued to fail and they needed to shut everything down, create a boogeyman, blame all the economic problems that resulted not from Cerveza bug, but from something else to collapse. They needed something to blame that on. So now we have Russia. They're just now opening the economy. They're just now removing mask mandates. We're trying to go back to normal, and voila. Now we have a war with Russia, a bunch of propaganda, a bunch of lies, a bunch of media hype about who is at fault and what this is going to do, right? Well, it is going to impact us, but we were already in trouble is the point. Before Russia, we were already having economic problems. Before Russia, we were having stock market problems. Before Russia, we were having monetary problems. It's a giant mess. Thank you, James, for bringing up that topic so we could all think about it. Again, I'm not giving you the absolute answers. I would like you to think on things for yourself. Dig into it. Get information. Compare what I have to say and what others down in the comment section, what they have to say. Compare it with what you hear on the mainstream media. Do they tell you about this stuff? Do they mention that they're buying oil from Russia? Right? Do they mention that Europeans are? Do they mention that China has to? Russia is the world's second largest exporter of oil. That's my understanding. We're led to believe that the Middle East is just bursting with oil. Like if they don't put it in tankers and ship it to us, it's just going to flow into the sea. That's the kind of story it would seem that they want us, to believe. And it's just not that way. It's just not so. Charles Gentry checks in, and he said, here's one for you. The SWIFT sanctions affect all Russian international dealings except oil, gas, and food. Go figure. Right. This is where we're at yet again. Literally, yet again, here we are. When the United States and the Soviet Union were battling head to head in the 80s, I learned as a kid, right, not even an adult, as a kid, that we, the United States, supplied Russia with grain. When they had a bad harvest, we would send food over there. And I was told and explained to me back then, John, this is it's not what you think it is. It is, an act of good faith on the part of the United States to help out our enemy, to show them, right, that we like them, that they're good guys, etc. And so they did that. They're going to continue to do what they need to do, folks, but we're always going to get a lie. And so, yeah, I mean, it's Charles, it's great to know that we are all seeing this, that we're all hearing this. It is all crystal clear, right? Crystal clear what they're doing. Now, Russia is, believe me, they are in Ukraine, at least to the best of my knowledge. They are doing whatever deals they can do. Right? They're taking whatever action they can take. And they're not going to stop until they complete their mission. But at the same time, the business of the world is doing business. All of this sanctioning stuff, all of this blustering, all of these threats, for the most part, is for the television. Right? They've got a little scoreboard of propaganda. Who's scoring the most points? Who sounds the most credible? Who's making the most sense? And can the media on each side explain it in a way to make the other side look idiotic? Crazy stuff. Ooman checks in. He says, I can't believe the way so many people that have been screaming fake news for the last few years are eating up all the Ukraine-Russia bullshit. I guess it's the only fake news if you disagree with it. That's interesting. It's really a good way to put it, right? Would I believe MSNBC or CNBC? Would I believe Fox Business News or any other mainstream media outlet if they started telling me things I wanted to hear? Right? I don't think so, right? If they're telling me something and it's pretty much across the board uniform, I think I need to question why they're telling me that. Even if it is true, I need to question why they're telling me that. What are they doing now? Right? Why are they telling me these things? What do they want me to believe? Right? In other words, that old adage comes out, qui bono, who benefits? Who benefits from what is being said? Right? Yeah. Now, I am pro-United States of America. I am pro-red-blooded American. I am not pro-globalist corporations ransacking the Ukraine with the U.S. military standing behind them, trying to back them up. Russia has now stood them down, right? When you stand down the president, when you stand down all of Europe, you're standing down the military as well. Right? The military doesn't act on its own. It is an extension of political will. It is supposed to be an extension of law and an extension of international law, the military. Now the military acts as an extension of the military-industrial complex, meaning banks, corporations, etc. Great point, great comments. Thank you, Mr. Ooman. I tell you, folks, it is off the hook. It has hit the fan. Mark says this, people hate Putin, but they don't hate Biden. I'm going to read that again. People hate Putin, but don't hate Biden. See, that's funny, huh? Just a few days ago, just 2 weeks ago, Most people forgot who Putin was, and everyone has had enough of Biden's shit. Right? The economy is crap. Oil prices going up. Food going up. We were told it was going to be a winter of death. Everyone's going to die. Put on your mask. Lockdown. No fun. Obey the government. Get your mandate or else. Food supply shortages are coming. Could have our power turned off. Not to mention asteroids and everything else that's going to kill us, right? Everything that the United States government was doing, via the mouth of Biden was hurting us. Letting the border, don't forget the southern border, folks. And trust me, Texans, New Mexicans, Arizonans, and Californians, well, those in their right mind, haven't forgotten. Biden is sending, folks, our border patrol agents from our border over to the Ukraine border so they can help manage refugees. What? Unbelievable. How about our own border, jackass? Right? So anyways, let's continue with Mark's comments. He says, Putin is fighting for defending his country, and I'll add to that, his country's security. I am pro-Russian. Biden destroyed Afghanistan. That's the difference. Now, Mark says he's pro-Russia. I am pro-truth. I am pro-fact. I am pro-freedom. I won't claim to be pro-Russia or pro-Putin because I don't want to be said, you're a traitor, John. You don't support America. No, I support the United States of America under our U.S. Constitution and our state constitutions. That's what I am pro. I'm not pro out of control, bad spending government. No, I'm not. Anyways, and then Mark goes on to say Biden destroyed Afghanistan. That's the difference. There's a big difference, yeah, between a country, right, fighting for its defense against an encroaching military-industrial complex, military-industrial banking complex, military-industrial banking energy complex in Ukraine. Now, we had Afghanistan, and Biden pulled out. Biden and the Pentagon, the Secretary of Defense. I don't want to forget Lloyd Austin. I want to make sure he gets all the credit that he deserves. They pulled out of Afghanistan. They could not defeat the Taliban, and so they gave up to the Taliban. They surrendered to the Taliban. They fled before the Taliban forces, leaving behind our allies, our people, and the pro-America Afghanis who were working hand in hand with us. If the United States of America cannot defeat the Taliban, Taliban, if we can't defeat them, what makes Joe Biden, the Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, and General Milli Vanilli, the lipstick queen of the Pentagon, what makes any of them think that they can defeat Putin, much less intimidate the man? And that's a fair question, don't you think? And again, I like asking questions. If they can't defeat the Taliban and secure Afghanistan, what makes them think they can defeat Putin? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Afghanistan doesn't have nukes, hypersonic missiles. The Taliban didn't have tanks and a fully funded and well-trained militia. They were a bunch of crazy, you can call them Afghani rednecks, right? They were out there just running around, fighting guerrilla warfare. And sadly, but successfully. What do you have to say, folks? What is going on? What do you want to talk about? What's on your mind? Here we go. S. Thompson says, ever since it was revealed Russia's hit America Biolabs, right, in the Ukraine, there's been no talk about smallpox or Ebola outbreak being imminent. Connected. Causation, effect, or priority. See, here in America, before the Russia thing, it was cerveza bug, cerveza bug, cerveza bug, cerveza bug. I mean, I would go out, folks. I would leave the prepared bunker, go out to a restaurant or bar, sit down just to watch the mainstream news. They would have it on the TV. They have it on the TV. You know, there's like 10 TVs in a regular restaurant now. And I would just sit there and watch the news. And the local news and the national news would be all about cerveza bug, masks, mandates, the effectiveness of the Jim Jones juice, the badness of evil Texas, and the badness of evil Florida. And down the list from that was, I don't know, China, Afghanistan, Ebola, just little things. Everything was all about cerveza bug and Jim Jones juice 24/7. I was like, really? This is what's going on? This is the news? Even the local stuff. And now we're down here at the lake for a fundraiser for children with cancer. And isn't it great how everyone is wearing their masks? I mean, that was their news. It's like, it's just making it all about cerveza bug some more. Okay, so, yeah, the Russia thing went over the top of that. They're trying to make all that stuff go away. Cerveza bug, Jim Jones juice, right? They're trying to make it less of a big deal. They want it to go away. They're taking away the mask requirements. They need to quietly get rid of the mandates, which have, by the way, been continuing to lose. They're continuing to lose in court. They even lost in court in freaking New Zealand, where in the land down under, apparently their brains are upside down as well. Probably heads up their asses. Unbelievable. So you're asking if there's a connection between the Biolabs in Ukraine being blasted to pieces by Putin and why the news isn't talking about it anymore. I think it just comes down to a matter of priority. If the need to scare you, me, all of America and the world, if the need comes up, oh yeah, they'll dust off that little cerveza bug and go, hey, pal, get back to work, go scare him. And they bring up the Ebola. Okay, Ebola, we need to remind everyone how dangerous you are. So get out there and scare people, and they'll wake them up. They'll dust them off. They will. But they needed something bigger and better, right? They needed something to take the attention away from a failing narrative. So that's what they are up to. That's my opinion. I do think they're connected, but not, right? That's not the main connection. That's not the big enchilada, right? The big enchilada, it's there. It's there. Okay, let us move on. Jay Clifton says, I find it very funny that they have shut off all of the live cams in Ukraine or any other live cams that they may view areas around Ukraine. Interesting. Yeah, quite interesting. They don't want us to see for ourselves with our own eyes what is going on. The mainstream media, folks, and the government, they want to be the ones to show you if something happens, to tell you what to think and what to believe. They want to be the ones. They don't want there to be any accidents, any surprises. They don't want you to come to your own conclusions. The same way they don't want you or me or anyone else to listen to RT News or Sputnik News, right? They don't want us to get it and think for ourselves because it could be misinformation, harmful, misleading, dangerous misinformation. I think they liked it more when they had NBC, CBS, and ABC News. And that was all you got. Even if you turned on the radio, you got ABC, NBC, or CBS News. Then along came PBS and NPR, I get it. But still, this little thing called the internet came along, and they thought they could control that too. Instead, it is turned into every single cat has been let out of the cages and they're running loose on the country, running loose on the world. Okay, we got internet. Internet's fine. And then all come the webcams. Boom, 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 showing us everything you want to see. You want your favorite restaurant? Click on a webcam there. Go look at what's going on in the restaurant. You call up, you're like, I'd like a table for two. And they're like, sorry, sir, we're completely full right now. And you're like, dude, I'm looking at you on the webcam. I see you on the phone, on the webcam, and the restaurant's empty, you just don't want to work because you're a lazy millennial. Put on a real millennial that knows how to work. All right. We got Jezariah back in the house. And he says, since this Russia-Ukraine thing started, I haven't heard a word from good old Dr. Doom. He's speaking about the booster rooster, Dr. Fawcett, the little drip, that Dr. Doom, Dr. Dark Helmet. He says, I'm sure he's not on vacation. Any idea what he's been up to? He tried making himself relevant a few days ago. He tried. He went on the mainstream media, Jezariah. He went on there and he said, I think we could be due for another booster of the Jim Jones juice. It's like, yeah, 4 is a good idea. He's continuing to try. I think his ego is out there, but I also believe the mainstream media, I have a funny feeling they got the memo, you know, hot off the presses. And the memo said, we're going to tone down cerveza bug. We're going to tone down Jim Jones juice. We're going to quit talking about that stuff because it's not working. The people aren't buying it. In fact, they're pissed off. That's right, folks. Well, we've been focusing on all this. Guess what is continuing to happen? There are truckers steaming down the highway on diesel steam, steaming down the highway heading to Washington, D.C. By the time they make it, America's going to be like, oh, yeah, we're pissed about that too. Right? Yeah, they're steaming down the highway. They're heading there, folks. They're heading there. They want, right? They're going to want to make their mark, but they're trying to quiet all that down. They want to have the State of the Union Tuesday. Well, Tuesday, the federal government, the Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police, they're ready for those truckers who might try and interfere with our precious, I was going to say POTUS, and then I almost said POS. Yeah, he is their precious, POS. Ah! No, well, Heidi just checked in and says, is anyone watching the USA Trucker Convoy? Is it still going? The answer, Heidi, is yes. It is still going. It is growing. It is going. Big question, what kind of impact will it have? Are they going to roll into D.C. and Biden steps out of the White House, you know, goes over to the microphone and goes, this thing on? Anyone got an ice cream cone? Okay, I'll get an ice cream cone as soon as I'm done here. Hey, U.S. truckers, there's no more mandates. You can go home now. And then he's going to take his mask off, probably hand it to someone in the crowd, walk over and get an ice cream cone, and then wander off into the bushes. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do about these truckers. Now, of course, being a little more serious, because, I can be serious. I have a feeling that they still have a black swan or false flag potential that they can play off of the truckers to say, what are you guys doing here? Everything was fine with cerveza bug and the mandates. You show up and commit some act of violence. It's totally unnecessary. We can't believe you're here to be violent, right? We could have some act of violence and they're going to blame it on the truckers, blame it on you, patriotic America, you Constitution-loving America. You've been already labeled, if you're a parent, a domestic terrorist. That's still a card they can play and say, we're busy over there dealing with this Ukraine problem and this Putin-Russia problem, and you guys back home, you are so low and terrible that you would come after us. Right? They could do that. They could say, yeah, I can't believe you would attack your country while we're dealing with a foreign problem. It's possible. Don't put anything past these idiots, folks. They are dastardly to the extreme. And by the way, this evening, I'm going to go on another news network and spend about 2 hours discussing, spreading the word. When I told you guys, I was like, hey, I need you guys to step up, ship this URL, this address, ship it out, send it to everybody, get everyone watching. thinking for themselves, waking up, getting prepared. I'm going to continue to do that myself and continue to reach out. And that'll be, boy, coming up tonight. So I've got a late night ahead of me. I'm going to be exhausted, but that means nothing. It means business as usual. It has hit the fan. It's going to keep going. It's not going to stop. We have years and years of this to put up with. All right, we got Cat Got Your Tongue. He says, interesting that all political parties in Canada are against Russia and riled up about Ukrainian freedoms. While tyranny, right, from our truckers and supporters, they're locked up and broke. Hypocrites. Yeah, Canada is all hypocrite, just like the United States is all hypocrite all the time. Yeah, folks, they're all worried about democracy and freedom in Ukraine. Freedom from oppression and tyranny from Putin. What a bunch of liars and hypocrites. They can't even be honest, folks. They can't do it. They are dishonest as much as they are disinformation agents. That's a fact. These people are liars extraordinaire. Liars extraordinaire. And they're not going to stop doing what they do, which is lying. That's what they do. That's what they're good at. And they will continue to do it, folks. Every chance they get. They will lie, cheat, steal. The same way one of the Democrat leaders in the state of Colorado prior to 2020 told us that he would lie, cheat, and steal for victory for the Democrat Party. Unbelievable, folks. That's why I say, it's almost, it is an insult. It is transparent. We see all the way through it. But they're counting on and relying on the mainstream media to take their message out there and convince people. And it is amazing, as pointed out by Uman, that so many people jumped on the Putin bad bandwagon and believing the mainstream lies. It's almost like an old memory of the Soviet Union was triggered. We can't have Soviet aggression. If you look at the former, shall we say, Eastern Bloc or countries like Poland and Czech Republic, there's, I think, 13 new NATO countries that have come about since 1996. I've got them here on my other. Boy, do we have, folks. We've got a lot. Let's see. Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Hungary, Romania, Slovenia, Croatia, Montenegro, Albania, Northern Macedonia, and Bulgaria. 14 countries have joined NATO since 1997. Did you catch that, camera guy? Right? There has not been Russian expansion and Russian tyranny. Yeah, you have to apply to be a member of NATO. Especially if you're bribed, right? Hey, why don't you join NATO and then you're protected by us? But hey, we've got some business arrangements that need to be made. There you go. Oh, yeah, and let's not forget, folks, Switzerland is now growing a pair of testicles and decided it's going to pick a side. And Switzerland chooses, right, the side of the bankers in the West. I'm surprised. Right, very surprised. Oh, and one last thing. Cerveza bug. I forgot this. I forgot to tell everyone. Iceland, right? Iceland, which is off the coast of and in the North Atlantic, way up there. Another home of the Viking type people. It looked like me. Anyways, they want as many people as possible, right? That's their quote. This is what they want. As many people as possible to catch cerveza bug because they've ended their restrictions and they suggest that the Jim Jones juice isn't going to be good enough, right? So in Iceland, they're recommending mingling, sneezing, and fornication. Well, hey, folks, if you want as many people as possible to catch it, then you need to mingle, sneeze on one another, and fornicate. Even though they didn't say it quite like that, that's exactly what I heard. It's like, okay, all you crazy white people living on an island with 4 active volcanoes, why don't you all put a bunch of blindfolds on, take a bunch of Viagra and start walking around into each other and see what happens. We need as many people as possible to catch survey supply. Unbelievable. Talk about a turnaround, huh? Like I said, the narrative is failing, folks, especially when a country says, why don't you guys get it on, because we need to get done with this. Okay, hey, chance favors the prepared mind. Are you? Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Thank you for supporting all we do, keeping the lights on, keeping the spam stocked, and keeping this network, a network of freedom going. The prepared mind, being free of 100% influence and control of others over our perspective, over our wallet, and over our lives. We want to be free. So in order to be free, you've got to think free. In order to think freely, we've got to be able to communicate. And you have helped make that happen. Keep supporting us, keep sharing information, and keep, above all things else, keep and stay fully prepared, fully practiced, and fully aware. Godspeed, Semper Fi.